Thank you. Thank you, Count Corley. Good afternoon, Minister. Minister, yesterday, service users of Tús Nua, which is a mental health day centre service in Ballymun, were informed by the staff, I believe, of the imminent closure in most likely September of the day centre service that's based in Ballymun for people who are suffering within the Ballymun area with mental health related issues. Now, yesterday morning, before that information was relayed to some of the service users, about 15 of the service users came to my clinic yesterday morning, just concerned. And if nothing else, it gave me a first-hand insight into who these people are exactly and how most likely the proposed closure of this service would affect these people in particular. Now, from what I understand, the Tús Nua is a one-stop shop for these residents, and they explained that essentially this has become their lifeline. And these are people who I have witnessed yesterday in particular, who are people who are perhaps the most vulnerable category in the area that I represent in Ballymun. And they're people who I could see who rely heavily on this service. They see it as a place where they can drop in. Some people drop into 4 to 5 times a week. They have opportunities to chat to somebody, a professional. They have opportunities to look at ways to deal with their mental health issues, whether it be through arts and crafts, cooking. You know, people even recited the whole issue of whereby people were looking after money management and basically life-related issues. But quite clearly, Minister, they were really concerned, and I took on their concerns quite genuinely, given that these are very, very vulnerable people. Now, what I understand is that the closure of Tús Nua, or the proposed closure of Tús Nua, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, Minister, is based on a report from the HSE, which was initially initiated back in 2013 in the Dublin City North area, which my constituency would be part of for the HSE area, whereby a review of all day centres was being considered. And obviously with the imminent closure of the Ballymun Shopping Centre and the service itself being located in the Ballymun Shopping Centre, that there was a need to address the day services there in particular. But Minister, my concern is particularly around the 44 or 45 service users who essentially see this as a lifeline. They see it as a social outlet, they see it as a support structure, and they see it as a learning environment. And and I'd received emails in from the daughter of one of the service users who says that this is the only time that her mother comes out during the week, is to come down to this service. So that's where the people who are using this service, they're exceptionally vulnerable. They're people who are fearful of change. They need to be minded. Their needs need to be taken into account fundamentally above any sort of changes. I mean, and proposals that I'm hearing around the possibility that some of these people may have to use a service elsewhere, such as maybe perhaps in Coolock or further afield. Minister, we're talking about people who won't get on a bus on their own. Whereas this centre was within maybe less than a mile from their home. They'd walk down to the shopping centre, they'd head in, and they were able to have that connection. And often that connection was probably the difference between, seeing the sun in the sky or not seeing the sun in the sky in their life that day. And Minister, I'm very fearful, and mostly the service users are exceptionally fearful of what change may lie ahead. And most of all, Minister, could I also say, I can't see why that we need to have a day service outside of Ballymun when we have one there already. And I mean, I think what Ballymun needs is to continue to have a mental health service provision, a day service there for people, but not only a service provision, but a high quality service provision. So Minister, I'd appreciate what comments you have on this. And can I just say, just in relation to it, I mean, I've been trying to get my hands on this report that basically mentions these things, and I haven't been able to access it at all. So it's very hard to have a proper debate on this, given that some of the information hasn't been handed to me. And I understand perhaps it's probably private, but it's very hard to debate an issue when you don't know everything about why the report is saying what it's saying.
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Count Corlett. And again, I'll be taking this topical issue debate on behalf of my colleague, Minister of State Kathleen Lynch, TD, and I would like to thank Deputy Lyons for raising this important issue this afternoon. The Deputy will appreciate that the HSE has statutory and operational responsibility for the planning and delivery of services at local level. North Dublin Mental Health Services provide a range of adult mental health services within the specialties of general psychiatric, psychiatry of old age, and a rehabilitation psychiatry service. This encompasses various settings such as service user homes, acute inpatient facilities, day hospitals, day centres, and supported community residences. The service that the Deputy refers to this afternoon is community-based with a focus on recovery principles, is delivered by consultant-led multidisciplinary teams incorporating staff from a range of disciplines, including nursing, social work, occupational health and psychology. The Deputy is correct that in 2013 the HSE, as part of the Dublin North City Mental Health Service Plan, identified the need to review all day centres within the area in line with a vision for change. A review group was established by the Dublin North City Mental Health Management Team with the following remit. 1. To identify all mental health day centres in Dublin North City, general adult psychiatry. 2. To review services provided within each day centre. And 3. Make recommendations if required to ensure that each day centre was fulfilling its brief to examine if clients' needs could be met in a more appropriate environment. In the case of Tús Nua, the review group found that the day centre, which is situated on the upper floor of Ballymun shopping centre, was old and in poor condition with only one fire exit from the building. There is no lift access and the shutters on the front window cannot be opened due to security concerns. Having considered all the issues, the review group recommended to the Dublin North City Mental Health Management Team that it would be best in the circumstances to close the Tús Nua facility. It should be further added that the lease on these premises has expired, and due to the regeneration plan for Ballymun, it cannot be reviewed, or renewed, I should say. In addition, the need to vacate the Ballymun shopping centre to allow the regeneration plan to proceed has left this service in a vulnerable position, and the HSE management cannot safely recommend that the service continue. I understand that the HSE is to establish an implementation group under the chairmanship of the clinical director, and that an independent assessment of the needs of those attending the centre will be carried out. This assessment of needs will inform the process and will ensure that the needs of service users, which is the preoccupation quite correctly of the Deputy, that those needs continue to be met. The implementation group, as part of its remit, will communicate with all the relevant stakeholders during this period of change. It is not the intention of the Dublin North City Management Team to close this facility until the process is complete, by which I mean the process of consultation and communication with all relevant stakeholders. We won't be closing the facility until that process is complete. I want to assure the Deputy of that, and until appropriate alternative placements have been sourced. Any changes that arise as part of this process will be communicated to patients and staff in advance of any change taking place. Accordingly, I would like to assure the Deputy that the HSE will at all times put the needs of service users to the fore in the relocation of this service. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you. Deputy Lyons.
Thank you, Minister. And Minister, I appreciate that you are speaking on behalf of Minister Lynch, who has responsibility for this particular issue today. But you know, Minister, it sounds like, you know, the door's already bolted, to be quite honest with you, on this issue. And I just think it's very frustrating to see in the very last line of the response from the department to say that, you know, that they will put the needs of service users to the fore in the relocation of this service. The needs are that they can't travel beyond where they travelled as it is. These are people who are so isolated from just the general well-being of society that getting on a bus is as traumatic as can be. And to say that, I mean, if they are putting the needs of the service users first, they will take into account that that's a genuine need from lots of the service users, or need identified, and that they can't. It's not that they won't, that they can't, because of the situation they find themselves in their lives due to their mental health issues, that they're just not able to engage in society, and they found some way to engage with a local service in Ballymun. And to see as an answer that will most likely say at some stage that they will have to move to another venue, most likely out of Ballymun, will see, you know, these people just put in a more vulnerable position than they are. I don't know, Minister, I'm not playing to the gallery here. Like, I witnessed these people yesterday. They are so bloody vulnerable, and they will not be in a position to travel elsewhere. And if the HSE thinks it's acceptable to assess their needs and to ignore the need, in particular, that they can't, some of these people just can't get on a bus and engage in the way we do, that they're not listening to their needs. And it seems to me, Minister, as well, that, you know, the whole idea of the shopping centre, yes, we all know the shopping centre issue, but where there's a will, there's a way. And I mean, I think the HSE plus DCC, who has a social inclusion unit, needs to look at these people within their community and see what can be done with the new buildings that still are there that have been built in Ballymun to assess the needs of the individuals, in the hope that the new service can be located within the area so that all 44 members or 45 can continue to access the service. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Ceann Comhairle.
Ceann Comhairle, I thank the Deputy again for raising this issue, and I do understand the points that he's articulated in relation to the individuals concerned. The Deputy's obviously met with the people concerned, and he has a good appreciation of their needs and perhaps the limitations that apply here in relation to people's ability to travel or to, as it were, to transfer. And I understand that, and I would expect, I'm not going to hazard any further responses in relation to the detail of this because I simply don't know all of the individual details, but I would expect, and I know Minister Lynch would expect, reasonably expect, that those needs and limitations will be taken fully into account, and I stress fully into account, in relation to the planning for alternative facilities to address the needs, the very obvious needs that exist here. So I just want to assure the Deputy that I will relay to the Minister and to the Department and the officials concerned and to the HSE the importance of taking completely on board all of the particular aspects of the situation that the Deputy has articulated, and I thank him again for raising the issue.
Thank you.